We want to welcome everybody to our inaugural panel discussion for Multipliers Movement. Today, we're launching the Multipliers Movement, and we want to share with you a little bit about the movement. I'm Paul Nixon, and I'm the Director of Church Multiplication for Discipleship Ministries, which is a resource agency of the United Methodist Church. And I've had a passion for multiplication for maybe about 2 decades. I have often joked that the old church growth movement, about the time it kicked in, most denominations started shrinking. And the former movement really, it was focused on best practices to add new people to our churches. But in too many cases, the addition and all of the practices around addition could not overcome all the subtracting that was going on, especially as membership aged. Multipliers movement is very different than the movement of addition and subtraction. It's really a game changer, and that's why I'm excited about this conversation. I'd like to introduce the team. It's sort of a circle of founders for Multipliers movement that is here. We have Kelly Brown, who is Director of Congregational Vitality in East Ohio. Rachel Gilmore, who works with me at Discipleship Ministry. She is the Director of Recruiting, Assessing, and Training for Church Planters in the United Methodist Church. We have Kay Cotan, who really kickstarted Multipliers Movement. She is founder of You Unlimited and Impressions Unlimited. And Dan Pizzette, who is a Director of Church Development in Western North Carolina. These are each friends and persons that are passionate about multiplication. And so we want to each be able to share just a little with you in this time. So first of all, I would then say to Kelly, I said, share with our listeners here, what is the purpose of Multipliers Movement as you would see it?
Thanks, Paul. The purpose, the mission is pretty simple, actually, but it does have some depth to it for us today. You know, the purpose is to gather high-capacity ministry leaders who are leading multiplication movements in their setting, wherever that is, whether that's a local church setting, conference setting, or district setting. So we want to gather those folks together, though, to create community, a community of people from the same tribe who are sharing resources, who are exploring together, who are trying to expand the movement, who are challenging each other. That's the community we want to create through this multiplier movement that we are organizing. So Kay, I think, could share with us some more about the vision for this movement.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Thanks, Kelly. We dream about creating a space for these ministry multipliers, just to have a place to have safe conversation, sharing what's working, maybe what we're being challenged by. There's some equipping opportunities that will come, of course, encouragement and support. But this is a group of people that are normally working on the edges, that are maybe the ones that are seen as the mavericks, is usually who become our multipliers. And so we just wanted a place for people to be able to come and explore with like-minded people that are also multiplying successfully, or beginning to multiply, or want to multiply, and want to just be in the tribe to have that conversation. What we hear so often is those that truly are the multipliers have trouble finding community. They're so often put in communities where they're talking about survival, or they're talking about decline. And this gives us a place to talk about those that are really leading multiplication movements and making disciples and generating leaders. So we hope to create kind of a different space than you can normally find for ministry leaders who are multiplying. So we're kind of excited about the possibilities here. And we've also created some values around the work that we do. And Rachel, would you share a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. We had a lot of fun talking about what those guiding foundational values and principles would be for us here at the Multipliers Movement. And so the first one that I want to share with you today is innovation. I think with COVID-19, we realized that what church looks like, how faith communities function has totally changed and adapted. And so we're excited to see what the future may hold for the church as it goes through this kind of new reformation, and we have this freedom to innovate. Another value or principle is continuous learning, right? I mean, Stephen Covey for years has been talking about those 7 habits of highly effective people. One of those is sharpening the saw. We should always learn and grow and challenge ourselves to understand new practices. And our third value and principle is to support and encourage multi-ethnic multiplication. If you are not thinking multi-ethnic, multicultural, intercultural ministries, then you are missing out on what the future of faith formation in North America will be. So we definitely support, encourage, and are focused on that. Another value is being flexible in terms of the method. There's no one way, there's no one approach, there's no formula or program that you can just plug into your church to help multiply in a certain way. You have to look at your local context. That's really important for us. Our fifth value or principle is a spirit of experimentation without a fear of failure. So often we can just be paralyzed and not want to try new things because we associate failure with shame. Well, guys, it's time to explore and to experiment and to know that failure is normal. It's part of this process as long as we fail forward and learn from failure as it comes along. And the final principle is that we value collaboration. And so all of these are not necessarily typical values of the institutions that we serve. So we really wanted to create a space here that exhibited these critically needed values for multiplication to occur. So all of these principles have this deep purpose and give us a deep passion for this multiplying movement. And it doesn't matter if you're listening right now as a multiplier or as someone who's trying to equip multipliers. These are important as we move forward. So Dan, can you talk to us for a few minutes about why these 6 values and principles are so important, why we would want to invest in multipliers when our plates are already full?
Yeah, and I'll just say, thank you, Rachel, and for everyone for being a part of this and for inviting me along. This is a group of individuals who are high executing individuals. I am honored and humbled to be here with you and talking with you and being part of this conversation, because you are people that I turn to when I'm looking for advice on how to help churches move forward. And you are people who I have seen over the years go out and do this work of multiplication. And there's so much excitement in multiplying and seeing the examples, forming this kind of community. I look forward to everyone that is watching or listening to this video in this stream, getting to know the individuals on this group as we move forward. Wonderful people to turn to for advice and for encouragement. One of the things that I've seen over the years of working with churches is that churches tend to turn inwardly focused, and they go to a point where it's almost natural that they turn inward and start trying to make themselves happy. And church members like to make themselves happy. And what I've seen out of this group of individuals is the ability to break through those barriers and those walls, go outside the church, and multiply, do something new in a new location, expand ministry by including new groups of people, even multiplication that goes beyond just numbers, but thinking of multiplying culture and the way that we work in various ministries is incredible. So it's come time in this shift that we're experiencing in Christianity, where we don't have things figured out. We need to experiment. We need to innovate. We need to collaborate with each other on what's working and what's not working. And that's why this is important. That's why these values are important today, to continue to look at ways to move forward. And I'm so glad that we included in our values a piece that values multi-ethnic multiplication, because that's going to be part of our solution for the future. It's a part that we've missed out on in the United Methodist Church and in mainline denominations across the board, and a place where I look forward to experimenting and growing in the future. So really, we have a lot to look forward to. We have a lot to talk about in these panel discussions. And I am just excited that we get to be a part of this and that we offer a community that we pray will contribute to a larger multiplication movement. So here's what we have coming up for you. Monthly panel discussions, monthly podcast interviews with a multiplier, daily weekday Facebook posts, and more are coming. So we have a lot in store, a lot of great things coming for the future, and that is extremely exciting. And so without even waiting, we've got more planned. Paul, what's our next topic for our next panel discussion?
Well, we're going to be talking about the keys of starting and sustaining a multiplication movement itself, which is something that we can do at any altitude. You know, you could start a multiplication movement at the level of a local church, the level of a small group network, at the level of an annual conference or a judicatory. There is so much in terms of those keys, in terms of the values, which will be in March. We'll be talking about the values that really drive effective multipliers, the leaders who multiply the ministry. We've been making these lists of topics and themes, you know, in the last few minutes here, each one of which there's just a universe of really good conversation that's there. Lots to talk about. And I really believe that this is going to be a very fruitful interaction that will really stimulate a lot of aha within the conversation as we go.
Yeah. And as Dan said, we also have some podcasts that we're going to be doing with some multipliers. And our first multiplier that we'll be interviewing on a podcast will be Reverend Ken Nash. And Ken is kind of known as the multi-site guru, not because he's just done it himself in multiple ministry settings, but he has helped dozens of churches and church leaders across the nation develop their own multi-site movement in their community as well. Then our second multiplier podcast is going to be with Bishop Ken Carter and Reverend Audrey Warren out of the Florida conference. And they have written a new book called People Over Property. Audrey has a really great story about a church that she is leading in a very innovative way, First Miami. So they'll be sharing about people over property in our second podcast. And then we also have Jason Moore with Midnight Oil Productions, talking about both and how we do both physical and digital ministry online. And I think we're even going to get Paul in there to do an interview real soon on some work that he's done as well. So we're really excited about the lineup of our podcast multipliers too.
Super exciting. So make sure that you like our Facebook page so that you don't miss any of these resources or the panel discussions or the podcasts, because we'll be posting all of those links there so you can find everything you need right on our Facebook page. So you find us by typing in Multipliers Movement and join our page. You can like, comment, or share with others that are leading a multiplication movement or want to learn how to be a leader. And it doesn't matter if you're clergy or laity. Something I love and respect about Ken Nash and all of his multi-site ministry is that he empowers and equips laity to come alongside him and lead. So it doesn't matter if you're clergy or lay, you can benefit from everything, all these resources here on our Facebook page. So feel free to reach out to us, message us, or post so that we know how we can best serve you as a multiplier.
And you can catch our next panel discussion next month as we share the key for starting and sustaining a multiplication movement. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. We are excited to be with you. We are the Multipliers Movement. And remember that today is the day to multiply your impact.